Hi, Erin.
Hi, how are you, Leslie?
Doing okay. I'm doing good.
I'm excited to chat. Let's see, let me pull this up here. How are the doggies? I saw your your clip of were those your dogs? The on There was a reel that you posted yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
Some schnauzers.
Yeah. And the thing that's kind of special, I have ongoing posts with that little one
Hmm.
because back in February, I had a litter and most of the puppies at birth were 8 to 10 ounces and she was 3.5. I mean, literally,
Oh.
she fit in the palm of my hand
Hmm.
and I had to hand raise her from the very beginning. She was so small, her mouth couldn't even fit over her mom's smallest nipple. So
Mm,
every two hours for like 2.5 weeks.
mm,
I had to be there to feed her 1 to 2 cc's of milk.
mm. Mhm.
So anyway, so a lot of people followed her development, and so now she's getting bigger. I have less
Mm, mhm.
opportunities to post, but everybody was always like, when is she gonna get to interact with the other ones? Well, when they won't squish her. So anyway, so that's as I have opportunities to show her life becoming a more normal dog life and not just, well, yes, you're the dog. I have all the dogs and they're all over here except this one. So it's nice to be able to be integrating her back into the dog community. Yeah.
Mm. Well, I just want to talk about and kind of confirm exactly what's going to help you in this session, but I just want to stay on this story real quick because I think this is a great little
Great story.
example of the kind of stuff that you do. Um, you mentioned that the dog was born very small and you had to kind of hand feed it. Like, what are some of the important things that people should know about? Like if you're getting a puppy, if it is needs particular special care, or if it maybe had special care, what are some of those things that people should be thinking about when they're selecting a puppy and knowing how much work is it going to really be to take care of it?
Well, the first easy answer is however much work you think it's going to be, triple it in your mind, and then you might be approaching it. So that's the first. But I think one of the biggest myths, because it's just been how things were done for a long time, is that the best time to get a puppy is 8 weeks old. And I actually don't think that's true. And a lot of good breeders, like experienced, in it for the dogs, not in it for their pocketbook. Mostly all concur 10 to 12 weeks is better, because at 8 weeks, they haven't had enough socialization about taking instruction from others. And at that point, it's with mom or it's still the siblings or maybe another adult dog in the household. And so they're missing some education that then makes it harder for you to communicate with them. It's a lot easier to let other dogs teach them that no means stop. And I mean it. I mean, no, seriously, stop. Because then when we have a puppy, we're like, stop, stop, stop. And the puppy's just like, oh, you haven't made me stop. So I'm going to keep coming at you. I mean, it's all for fun for the puppy, but they're still not learning limits. They're not learning. There's a point at which you just mean like, no, I'm just done. Stop for real. So that's really important, that they get that socialization. And I think anybody who's in a hurry for all their puppies to leave the day they turn 8 weeks old, that's probably a red flag, just because then they're more interested in, oh, let's get these puppies out of my hair and get this money in my pocketbook than they are in, let me raise the best puppies and give them the best chance of success when they enter the new family.
Yeah, see, like that story right there is a perfect example of demonstrating expertise, authority, and experience in what you do. So, like that's exactly what I think. That's what I want to do is, as you're sharing, I'm going to dig a little bit and hopefully have you capture like different things like that. So that's a story. New puppy.
Mm-hmm.
That's very actionable, and very value driven advice, that if you just posted that little clip or a post, written version of that post in dog forums, where you're introducing yourself, hey, I raise puppies, I breed standard schnauzers, and this is one of the things that I've seen people think that a 8-week-old puppy, and even some breeders recommend that. It's like, what I found is it's so much better for the puppy and for the families if they're a little bit older and they've learned some things. That's a great way to help people right away the first time they meet you, and the first thing that they see from you coming into a new community, or like if somebody interviews you for a little blurb in a magazine, it's like new puppy. That's what the broadest of general audiences and dogs want to hear, but like it allows you to slip in your expertise. Like I've worked with standard schnauzers and professional breeding, for a long time. And it just gives you a very legitimate way to demonstrate this is why I'm an expert, and this is different from the normal common thought knowledge. And if you listen to me and take my advice, it can help you. It can, have your dog experience be so much better.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So before we go on, I want to just confirm, you had said on the message, what I remember is that you wanted to capture some of your history, specifically with standard schnauzers and your shows at the fancies. And so what I'm understanding is you wanted to kind of be able to talk out some of your stuff, so you had an idea of some content that you can write as posts. Is that correct?
I could use it for posts, but it's specifically a request that I'm kind of joining a partnership with my handler and my handler's partner, because we can work together to promote each other. And raise the water for both our ships. So
Right.
he's going to put together the website for me, but he needs information to post on it. And one of the things he said was, get me your history with the breed, get me your history as a breeder, and then specific history of a few of the dogs that are currently the basis of my current breeding program. So that's
Gotcha.
my specific need. But I recognize, and part of why I wanted to have you pull this out of me and record it is because this is like the chapter of a book. This is like pieces of posts, that this is just so repackageable in so many different ways to just get it out. And if it was me just trying to write it down, my ADHD would probably have me wandering all over the house doing other things instead, so yeah. So that's the main.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then.
Whatever, with that broader picture in mind too, absolutely. If you want to sidetrack and be like, hey, say a little more about this, say a little more about that. And if we don't get it all into one session, I don't mind booking another session, in a couple of weeks or something like that, to keep doing it.
Sure. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that what your project is that you're working on and what you actually could use right now is essentially an expert bio, something that is very appropriate to put on a website like your website, or like if you're featured in like Dog Fancy World or something, like we do a spread on Leslie and like, here's the top things you need to know before you buy a standard Schnauzer. And it's like, hey, here's Leslie, here's what her expertise is. And so like you have something that you can kind of shrink or expand in terms of, here's my credibility. This is my, my expert story.
Yeah.
or like, it's sort of your resume for this industry. That's what you're looking for. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that clarifies for me what we need to do then. So that's really helpful for me. So let me jump up real quick, and I'm going to pull up a few examples just so that we have a direction. Go in my select file here, and we'll pull up some expert bios. All right, here's one. All right, let me show you what I'm looking at so that you have an understanding of where I'm going to point this this ship. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is an example of an expert bio that is designed to create authority and credibility. So Marcus Buckingham. So this book is Stand Out. This is one of the best best-selling books in the business industry. It's talking about finding your edge, winning at work, and this is stand out. I mean, that's such a generic and applicable term. Like so many people in business on social media want to stand out. They want to be recognized for their expertise. They want to be seen. He's specifically talking to a working class audience, like people who want to get ahead at work, But this business book is very, very applicable to anybody who's trying to be seen and be recognized for their work. So he's modeling here. This is kind of what it looks like when people recognize you as the expert. So first thing it says is that his books have sold 4 million copies. So we're already establishing I'm somebody that lots of people has seen and recognized as an expert. So he's talking about being seen as an expert, being somebody that is notable and somebody that stands out. He's modeling that. So what we want to do here, I will. So this is what we're trying to do is we're trying to craft what is it that your audience wants, and then you demonstrate I'm the person who's gone through all of the experiences to be exactly the kind of person that you're trying to be. And so I've gone on the journey. Therefore, you as somebody who's going on this adventure, you can rely on me to tell you what comes next. That's what we're trying to paint the picture of. So what we're going to be looking for are things that show, for instance, experience. Overcoming challenges, expertise, your perspective, what makes you different from everybody, and then we want to show values, like what are the common things that you are going to get your specific audience that will resonate with. So we want to start with your experience, the problems you know how to solve for people, your expertise, like how much volume do you have in your industry that gives me confidence, like, yeah, this is normal for you, like you can do this in your sleep. And then it's like, what makes you unique? What makes you somebody that they would pick you over somebody else? So those are the things we're looking for. And so I'll just kind of give you a really brief summary of how I'm going to be looking for this. So that's what we're trying to create and find the stories, find the data from what you've done. We're going to kind of fill that stuff in. But in terms of like telling stories, in terms of placing your expertise in front of somebody in order for them to see you as somebody that they talk to get help from. I have this model which I call, this is it's a little bit silly, but you know, it's a good marketing tactic. So for red hot buyers, these are the buyers who they already know what they want and they're just looking for somebody to be, you know, it's like, I gotta clean my garage next week. I need to go get like a garage broom. So you don't really want to talk to people about like which is the best broom, that kind of, you just want a broom. You just want to go to the hardware store, get it, and then go do your work. So for people who are already have made the decision to buy and they're just asking, hey, who in your network do you know that's good with dogs? You know, I got a dog that's, you know, chewing up my furniture. Or, hey, I have a schnauzer. We went to a dog fancy, like we didn't really place, but it was a cool experience. I want to be one of the winners. How do I do that? Like those people are the people who are looking for your help. So a red hot buyer is somebody who is ready, which means the thing that you can help them do, they know what they want. They're ready for your help. Now, they're also somebody who is looking to experiment. So they're the kind of person that they want this thing and they're just exploring their options. Like they don't care who it is, they don't care if it works or if it doesn't. If they try something and it doesn't work, they're going to move on to the next thing because they already know I'm gonna go there and it doesn't matter how many times I try, I'm going to get there until, and so I'm going to keep doing things until I get there. So there's somebody who's like, if you're the first person that comes into their awareness and you can demonstrate that you can help them, they're going to go with you.
Mhm.
So they're ready to experiment. This means they're not putting all their eggs in one basket and they're expecting you to be the solution, but they're hoping you will be. And that gives you the flexibility to just be yourself. All
Right.
right. All right. So then they need to be doers. So they need to be people that are willing to take action quickly. So this is not somebody who needs time to think about it. This is not somebody who's like, well, I got to talk to my wife. It's like they've already made up the decision, and they're the kind of person that when they decide something, they go ahead and do it. If you give them assignments, you give them homework, they're gonna go do the things that they need to do. So these are people who need to be doers, and then they're happy. They're both happy to get ask for your help, and they're happy to pay you. Like these are people who once they find that you're the expert that knows what to give them, like I'm so glad that I finally found you. You're what I've been looking for. How do we work together? So, when you asked me the other day, hey, I don't even know if this is something that you do, but I have this need right now. I need my expert bio. Is that something you'd be willing to help me with, or do you know somebody? And it just so happens that like that's what I'm really good at is like interviewing people and pulling out those things. Like I've done so many of those, especially in the context of like television shows where you have to position somebody as an authority. And so when I said, well, this is what I can do for you, you messaged me back and said, oh, that's perfect. That's the kind of client you're looking for. That's what we're wanting to find stories for. Is somebody who's like, oh, thank you. Like I'm so glad that this is going to work out. And then let's see here. They're let's see, optimistic. They're an optimist. So this is somebody who they believe in themselves. They think if they start taking the action that it's gonna work. They're not somebody who's gonna shoot themselves in the foot at every turn. It's like once they find the person who's helping them, they've already made up the decision. Um, they're gonna start. They're gonna start moving forward. And so let me see. I actually worked on this yesterday. Oh, this is I was they this is important that they're an optimist, but the actual word is optimized. So so this is somebody who they understand what you're giving them.
Mhm.
So it's like they have some idea of what they want, but they understand what you're offering. So somebody could say, "Oh, I want to get more clients," and the way that they go about that is, "All right, well, we need to create a podcast for you, and you need to start, generating tons and tons of content." Well, if that's not something you want to do, yes, the outcome is what you want, but the method may not be something that is right for you. So this is somebody who understands what you're offering. They're educated about who you are and what you do, the way that you go about helping them, and they're okay with that. So this is somebody that is so if you have a way that you can demonstrate either through a story or if you have resources that show what your program is, like something like a document, like one of the things we're putting together for our course is something like this. It's just like a visual representation. If you have things like that, resources where somebody can see what you do for people and they're like, yeah, I'm cool. If that's what I get, that's what I'm paying for. And then they have the time to commit. So if like for instance, if you said, hey, can you get me an expert bio? And you just wanted to send me an email of stuff and like, hey, can you write this up? Um, versus the way that I work, it requires you sitting down and telling me stories. Like that's going to require a certain amount of time commitment. And on the calendar, it's easy to say this is how long it's going to take. If your program or if your consults require them to make a commitment, they're happy to make that commitment. That if you're saying, hey, this is going to be like a 6-week program for your dog, they're willing to do that. they have the time to commit and allocate to that. If you can talk about your expertise and pre-position people to expect this is what I can do for you. If you're somebody who's looking for help and you want to take action, if you're ready to, if you're ready for an expert and this is the stuff that you're ready to do, and this is what I do for people. You understand that this is how I work, and this is how much it costs. You're happy to pay that, and you want to make the commitment, like message me and we'll work together. That's what you want to do it very quickly. In the context of this bio, he talks about, I'm somebody who stands out. I have a training and development firm, so if you're looking for help, here's where to go to find me. I
Mhm.
help managers. This is who you need to be. Like, I don't help singers. I don't help celebrities. I don't help models. Like, I help managers and organizers tap the untapped potential of their people's strengths. So people who know that they can be making more money, who can be given more responsibility. And then here's all of the experience and expertise that he has. He worked for Gallup. He worked for Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Fortune, Fast Company. He's worked with companies like Facebook, Kohl's, Hilton, Microsoft, Chick-fil-A, and the Walt Disney Company. So that just very quickly runs down the list of why I'm somebody you should consider if you're looking for help to increase your credibility and your effectiveness in the workplace. So that's what we want to craft for you. And what we want to do is we want to find the stories and find the information, the data points that we can line up so that when you write it up, you can also have this in mind. It's like if you do a little welcome to your Facebook group, you can say those stories, you can say that expertise in a way that calls these people out. It's like if you happen to be somebody who is looking to buy a standard schnauzer, or you have one and you would like to help them win, it's like that's something I love talking about. I would love to, like, if that's something you guys have an interest in, let me know so I can start sharing some of those stories. If you happen to be looking for somebody to consult, like I do have a consulting business. You can make time on my calendar. Here's where to go for that. Here's how you take action. Here's how you do it. And my rates start at this amount. That's the sort of stuff that you want to think about. So we're looking for your expertise. What kind of challenges have you overcome that show people you know how to solve the kinds of problems that they know? You want to talk about the kinds of problems that people typically ask you about, and the most valuable problems that you solve for people. So like, hey, how do I get my dog to place better, or to be a better candidate, at these shows, or how do I train my dog? How do I find good people, good resources in my area? Those sorts of things.
Right.
So, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Kind of where we're going to go, what we're going to cover?
Yep, it makes perfect sense. It sounds really good. And the the focus for this exercise, all of that other stuff, yes. I mean about
Mm-hmm.
the broader
Mm-hmm.
target audience. The target audience that he specifically wants me to be focusing on right now is the people that want a high-end show dog that can win at a high level. And probably what it is so these two handlers, Whitney and Jose, they're partners. They
Mm-hmm.
compete at the highest level. And so they have people who say, oh, look, you're doing so well with these dogs. Oh, I see this other dog you're showing, you're advertising all the time. It's really good. And then they meet and, oh, I'd like one of these.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where they say, okay, well, if you're seriously interested in a high quality standard schnauzer for show,
Mm-hmm.
go check out her website. And then if you're serious,
Mm-hmm.
here's her information. And then that's how I find the people to place my absolutely top pick puppies with. And then with an arrangement that, yes, and Whitney and Jose are my handlers. So there's a requirement if you buy the puppy that you have it shown to its championship or beyond with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of how this
Mm.
makes sense is I give
Gotcha.
them handling work. They give me the high quality referrals.
Mm.
And then somewhere in there, that's like the pick of the litter, so to speak. Those people are kind of what Jose wants me to position myself for first. And then underneath that, then there's some others that are good show dogs, would be good for an owner handler to, get a championship on or have fun doing activities with. And then there's a few that for whatever reason, they're just not conformationally competitive, but they're still fantastic temperament or whatever. And those are the pets, but even those are very high quality pets. So part of what I need to put out there is not justification, but validation for your puppies cost how much? What, how could that ever, why would anybody ever pay that? Right.
Yeah.
But for example, the young dog, 1.5-year-old dog that I won with in Oklahoma at our national competition last month, I'm looking for $8,000 for him because he could potentially, if he was put with the right handling team, he could be a top 5 standard schnauzer. He could be a top 3 standard schnauzer. He might be able to be really competitive in another country. So something like that. So that's the, and even just pets were 4,000, at 10 or 12 weeks old. So, and I would say the typical range for standard schnauzers is probably around 3,000 to 3,500, but, so that's the assignment. And then all of the other things you're saying, I will and do need all of those as I continue to grow. But this is the thing he said, get this to me soon so that we can jump on, because I have another puppy in the background who's going to be in that same pipeline. So
yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is you're speaking to people who already know that they're looking for the best in class.
yeah.
So they're looking to get a dog, and you want to demonstrate that your dogs are the top, the very best of the best. That's the league you're in. And if you want the best, you're one of the people to go to.
Yeah,
Okay.
the best,
So
most competitive. Yeah, exactly.
all right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what makes a dog something that ranks in the top. You said top 5, top 3. Uh, share how do we understand those rankings? Like, what does that mean?
So there are, in the United States, there are dog show rankings. There's a couple of publications. Canine Chronicle is one. I think the other one's Dog News, that every month tabulate all the wins of every dog, at the group level. So there's it's a little complicated, but at the bottom level, you have the dogs that are competing for championship. They are not champions yet. Then above that, you have the dogs that are champions and they're competing with each other to be best of breed so that they can go on to group competition. There's lots of different types of dogs. They're broken up into groups like terrier, herding, working, hound, toy, non-sporting, sporting. I've left something out. Anyway, and then the winner of each group competes for best in show. So it's kind of a pyramid to get to who wins best in show. So what these people would be looking for are the dogs that could be competitive for sure at the best of breed level to go and compete at group and hopefully, be able to win placements at the group level maybe go on to best in show. So at
Mm,
each of these levels, you get some points in
mhm,
these tabulations. There's breed and all breed, and breed is against your own breed
mhm.
only. And all breed is, total number of dogs. That's as you get up to the group level and the best in
Right.
show. So top 5 would be top 5 in breed competition. That means it's beat the largest number of its own
Mhm,
breed. And all breed is it's beat the largest number across multiple breeds, across multiple groups.
mhm,
And
mm.
and so those rankings come out every month and have for decades and decades. And that's the standard that people use for, is it a top 5 or number, like my dog Frodo in 2019 was the number 1 standard schnauzer in the country, in the US, breed and all
Mm.
breed. So he had beat more standard schnauzers in competition than any other standard schnauzer that year. And he had the most all breed points racked up from beating dogs of other breeds by the end of that year also. And my current one that's out, Karma, she's currently number 2 standard schnauzer in the country and number 1 female. So I'm not sure if that answered all of your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So that to me right there, we'll just say authority bookmark right there. That's something that you would put in that bio. It's like um, dogs, some of my schnauzers, Frodo and Karma, had placed at the group level, best in breed, best in all breed, and you don't need to explain what that means to
Right.
a sophisticated audience. And if you're going into like a group of pet owners, you might want to clarify. You might do a longer like a introduction video, or like if you're on a podcast where there isn't like you don't know who's listening, you might explain to me like you did to me, what do those rankings mean, and then how hard is it to get those things. So it's like, when you first start competing, you're really just trying to be like, does this dog have what it takes to be a champion? Here's what the qualifications of a champion is, which means it's good enough at whatever standard they judge this breed of dog at. It means they've exceeded a certain minimum level of quality, and that's what you want in a good pet. You want a pet, whether your dog is going to be a working dog or you just want a dog that is an excellent standout, best in class dog. It's like
Mhm.
that's what a champion is. Now, best in breed means out of all the champions, out of all the dogs who've made it at a certain level, it's like which one is the best this year? Which one is the best this month? Whatever, however, how often they do those rankings, that's like when you're not only getting a quality dog, but you're getting the one that rises to the top. And this is, in terms of, when you're looking at evolution, at the, marketplace of ideas, like we like the things that kind of become the best and the standards. And that's how dog breeding works, is the ones that are the best, they become more desirable. They become more valuable because those are where you want the rest of the puppies to come from. It's like when they have all of the characteristics that we decide that are the most desirable in this breed of dog, and then
Mhm.
you walk them through that. So I would say that data point, when I said authority bookmark, it's like you want to tell the story about, or not the story, but tell us the data of Frodo, of Karma, of what it is that they ranked as. It's like that's one of those things that's going to go in the bio. And so that's going to be, in terms of challenges, like oops, let's do this. So that would be this one. So in terms of, you want the best in class. If you're somebody who's competitive, if you're somebody who looks for quality, and you want a dog that is the best, like world class dog. If you're looking to spend $4,000 to $8,000 on a dog, it's like, here's why my dogs are at that level. It's like it's not easy to be in this class, and this is the list, the credibility that my dogs have. Like these are verified by third party by the authorities in the industry. So that's the level of quality of dog that you're getting when you work with me.
Right.
And so like just that by itself is something useful. But talk to me a little bit about your experience with the dog fancies. The like, what are some of the things that you had to learn in that process? You know, kind of getting into standard breeds and and then competing, getting help, and asking for other people. Like, what were some of these things that you learned were really important in this process?
Okay. I got my first standard schnauzer in 1992. I had grown up with a miniature poodle, and I wanted a bigger dog, but I wanted one that was at least as intelligent as the poodle I grew up with. So that narrowed it down pretty fast. um, and there's kind of a neat story about how I found my first one, but I got my first standard schnauzer from a breeder, Pat White, who became my mentor from then until now. She's still my mentor. And I've worked with her together. Now she's mostly retired, so I'm kind of carrying on the standard, so to speak. But my first standard schnauzer, I did obedience with. I didn't do conformation showing, but we competed in obedience competitions, and to a pretty high level, especially for a first dog for a handler. And
So what I'm hearing right now is you have been competing professionally with standard schnauzers for 20 years or more.
yes, although I'm not sure professionally in this community is the right word, but
Okay, well, but yeah,
yeah.
you've had purebred, standard schnauzers, competing with that breed for 20 years.
Yes,
Mhm,
in many areas. I've competed
mhm,
with my dogs in obedience. I've competed in herding. I've uh, competed in obviously conformation, and God, there's another discipline I've just completely blanked on, but multidisciplinary, different types of performance work with the dogs.
mhm.
Um, I got my first when that first dog was about 3 or 4. My breeder came forward and she said, I have a really nice female that I'd like you to consider, but you'd have to show her. She's too high quality to be just a pet, so you'd have to learn how to show her. And I'm like, well, I guess. And I happened to be in grooming school at the time, and my lead instructor at the grooming school was a terrier specialist. So she had the grooming skill to teach me how to groom that schnauzer to be able to be shown. So I learned that. I showed her, got her championship. She was my first breeding stock. That would have been like 1996, 97. And then had a litter of puppies from her. Got championships on more than half of the puppies from her just at that point. Went on the next generation and had a litter from one of her daughters, and that again I finished more than half the puppies from that litter. And then kind of parallel to this, I became a professional obedience instructor because I enjoyed what I was doing so much with the first dog that then I'm like, well, now I've taken all the classes. What do I do? And she's like, you can apprentice with me, and then you can start teaching the classes. And I'm like, okay. So then I was teaching group and individual obedience and training. Then I also, about that time, went to work for veterinarians as a veterinary technician. So then I had that whole area of expertise. And then somewhere around there, I'm like, I'm getting to be about the age I want to have kids, and it doesn't make any sense to work full time to pay for someone else to raise my kids. So I need to do something I can work at home. And grooming was a really easy one. And so that's why I chose to go into grooming, because I could groom from home easily with the other expertise that I had, continue to show my dogs, and continue my breeding. And at that point, I probably had already finished, because I started finishing dogs for my friends too. So probably by the end of that time, I'd already finished a dozen. Finished means getting their championship. I probably already finished a dozen dogs.
Okay, so that's something I would definitely mention.
Yeah.
And so when you say you've done that for friends, like what goes into that? Like you just um is that a process of like training the dog to be shown and then like taking care of like the aesthetic like the grooming and like whatever they need to be, healthy and fit to be shown?
And then teaching them how to show. So how to stand, how to move properly so that they can be competitive. I did have some friends who ended up with some high quality dogs, and I'm like, that's a nice dog. You ever thought about showing it? Would you mind if I show it? So in
So
addition,
you have had a lot of experience helping other people finish, like helping other people's dogs win.
yeah, and the agreement that I make with, or I have in the past made with a lot of my puppy buyers, is this is a high quality puppy and I want it to have its championship. And they're like, well, I don't have the money for that or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then we just have to have an arrangement where you let me take it for regular grooming, and then you let me take him or her on the road, get her championship, and then it's just your pet after that. So I have helped, over a dozen.
When was the first time you helped somebody else show their dog?
So that would have
And it
been,
doesn't even have to be a win, but like you're like, hey, I
yes,
want to go show your dog at like a legit show.
yeah. So that would have been when Gretchen had her first litter of puppies. So that would have been around, let's see, I got her in 92, so probably around 1998.
1998. Okay, so that's what, 14 years helping other people successfully compete in uh, dog competitions.
Yeah, I think it's 20 something though. But yeah. So like 1998, so 08, 18, yeah, 20 something.
Yeah, so that's, oh yeah, my math is way off. So yeah, so you've been helping breeds for 30 years and competing for over 20.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 24 years of helping other dogs.
Other people with finishing their
Yeah.
dogs. And most of those were dogs that I bred, but not all of them. Not all of them. Because then once I became a professional groomer, occasionally somebody will bring a dog through that I'll be like, wow, this is a really quality dog. Where'd you get it? And have you considered showing it? I don't know anything about that. Well, you want to find out? And then I've shown some that way too.
Okay, so this is something really important from a marketing standpoint and from a credibility builder. You've helped other dogs and owners finish that knew nothing about competing. It's like I've helped top quality dogs and dog families that knew nothing about competition. I've been doing this for 24 years, helping people with a broad range of experience and passion. It's like everybody from people who are highly competitive to people who knew nothing about how to finish a dog.
Yeah,
And
actually,
successfully
I didn't
helped.
really think about that before, but part of why that's really powerful is because so many people, I guess because the whole dog show scene is just so, oh my God, I'll never figure that out. They'll tell a breeder right away, I'm not interested in a show dog. And that's fine, but they maybe don't realize that they've actually just cut themselves off from the entire top quality of the dogs that they could have. Because there are a lot of breeders out there, like I was, who would be like, I'll do all of it. It just means the dog can't be home a few weekends, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And if
You don't want to.
how simple it was, the breeders, they hold back their best ones for that. And if you're open to having it done, you'll get a better quality dog as a rule, not a guarantee, but as a rule. And so I always find it unfortunate when people just, because they don't know any better, just opt out of that from the beginning. And then because I breed all really high, even my least good puppies are very high quality temperamentally and to live with. So they make great pets, but my best puppies temperamentally in every way are the ones that I'm going to insist be shown, even if it's just to get a championship. So I hadn't really considered that as a niche that I could help other people with, to have access to better dogs if they could understand more about the value of that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you can give people how to get a best in class dog that is bred to shine. If you want the best of the best, what you may not know is you won't even get access to those dogs. You might be willing to spend, a lot of money on a dog, but you still aren't going to get the best if you don't realize that dog breeders protect the dogs. They want them to be shown. They want them to be able to do what they are meant to do, which is to uphold the breed, be placed, win, and continue that legacy. If you don't understand that it's not difficult to do, and that there are experts who are willing to show your dog for you, and you just say, I don't want a show dog, you just excluded yourself from the cream of the crop, the best selections of the litters, and you don't even realize that that's what's happening. So if you're somebody who wants the best kind of dog, the best quality dog, even if it's just as a pet, you may consider having an arrangement with a breeder such as myself, who is willing to do the work of showing the dog, get your official recognition, make sure that your dog finishes, and you can still keep it just as a pet. You can still have it, and we'll do all the work, obviously you're experts, you have people for that. It's going to cost some money, but if you want the best, that's what it takes. So you're really talking to somebody who's looking for the ultimate in an animal, and whether they have an interest in competing or not, you want to help them understand that the dogs that are the best are always going to compete. So if you want the best, you have to be willing to let them, and whether you're going to learn how to do that and do that yourself, and it's fun and it's really rewarding, but if you don't have an interest in doing that, you can outsource that to the experts, because there are people who love the dogs. They want to protect the dogs. They want to help the breed shine, and they will do that for you if that's something that you want, is a dog that is the very best and that is taken care of by the best in the industry. And we can make that happen if that's something you're interested in.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of how you want to position your website when somebody's looking for a dog, when somebody's looking for a puppy. If your dogs are the best in class, they're bred to shine, they're meant to win. But if you want access to the best, you just know that what comes along with that is this dog has to compete on some level. It needs to have gone to some showings.
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect, because then that gets the whole show spectrum from, it just needs to get its championship so
Hmm.
that it continues to
Hmm.
increase the validity of my breeding program.
Hmm.
You know, Frodo last year was stud dog of the year, which means he had the largest number of finished champions of any male in the national club. So that kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, and then also then at the very highest level, also there are dogs that if you are interested in showing at that highest competitive level and you want to be placing in the groups, you want to
Hmm.
be shooting for best in show, I have those too.
Mm. So you're talking to a person who you want, like everything about your life is world class. If you're looking for a world class dog, this is how you get one.
Mhm.
And so you're talking to somebody who, on some level, they really don't care what the cost is. What they want to know is, how do I do this? And
Yeah,
so then you can lay out the terms. If you
yeah,
want the best in the world, this is how you do it. And this is why you can't get around that. This is like, you're creating the rules, you're creating the authority and how it works. And so because you have all this expertise, you get to make the rules. So it's like, if you want to get a dog from a breeder like me or from other people who are at the top in the world, you're looking at paying, 12 to $15,000 for an animal, and that's going to include some handler fees, some ongoing access to experts, so that as your dog progresses, like, and we can break that up where it's like you buy the dog and then you pay a yearly rate just to maintain that you're having the professional care that needs to go with the dog. You know, you can lay that out however you want to do it, but like, in terms of what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, because you hold all the cards, you have all the expertise, you have the dogs, you can position how the world works for people who are looking for the best. Then you can lay out, you know, so if you want to buy the dog at $5,000, and then over the life of the dog you're going to pay like a $800 a year fee just for access. Like, I don't know what it costs to like show the dog and the handler, but like, you just build in reoccurring revenue to, if you want the best, this is what it looks like.
right, right.
So.
Probably, at least initially, what I would do is, instead of them paying me that to pay to, I would just hook them up with the handlers, with Whitney and Jose, and then they do that
Mhm.
arrangement separately. But that's
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. But
Yeah. So yeah, however you're gonna structure that, but I think this is giving me a good grasp of, like, I would talk about the first year that you got involved with a standard schnauzer, 1992. So you've been with the breed for over 30 years, showing dogs competitively. You've won in multiple categories, competed in different categories: herding, obedience, multiple disciplinary. You've been helping other dogs finish, other owners, and other dogs that you didn't breed for over 20 years. You've got experience helping other dogs finish and be competitive at like a standard level, or whatever the credibility term of that is.
yeah.
And so yeah,
And
so I would say, yeah, go ahead.
as an owner handler, separate from engaging handlers, but as an owner handler, I've competed at Westminster half a dozen
Hmm.
times. I've gotten awards at Westminster. I've competed at the National Dog Show. Um, I've won at the National Specialty, um, during the National Specialty Week, Best of Breed. I've got Best of Winners multiple years. 2 years in a row, I've won Winner's Dog at the National Specialty. So those are some other things that establish my
Mm.
credibility as an
Yeah.
handler is I have competed at the
Yeah,
professional,
absolutely.
the top end professional level and had some success, not just
Mm-hmm.
not just shown up there and been beaten, but shown up there
Yeah.
and been competitive, even
Mm-hmm.
standing side by side with
Mm-hmm.
professional handlers. And a lot of those final awards lineups, I'm the only owner
Mm-hmm.
handler. The rest of them are professionals.
Wow. Okay. Um, okay, so what you just said, I think, is very important. You are one of the only, or if maybe the only owner handler that has competed at well, Westminster is an international dog show, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
And
at the worldwide,
definitely a lot of
level.
other owner handlers have competed there. And
Mm-hmm.
some have won awards there also, but it it's a
Mm-hmm.
it's very rarefied.
In the breed categories that you want, are there other owner handlers?
Um, not
What's the reason I'm asking? What I'm asking for is there a segment or niche that you can say, I am the only owner handler in this category? It's like there's nobody else to compete with. They have to come to you for this specific thing. And it doesn't really matter in the dog world in terms of like there's all kinds, like you said, there's other owner handlers, there's other competitions, that sort of thing. But it allows you to put a stamp on your website that says, I am the only one there is in this particular category. You're drawing the box, you're creating the authority.
I believe I'm the only one who has won multiple years in a row winners winners dog and best of winners at the national specialty. I believe I'm the only one who's done that. That was last year and this year.
National specialty. Okay, so and this is a recent thing, so that's a pretty good credibility builder. So you're the only owner handler who's won multiple years um, at the national specialty. I mean, I don't know what that is, but but that sounds.
It's
I mean,
important to specify. It's important to specify that it's winners dog and best of winners, because I don't want it to sound like I've won best of breed, because that's
uh-huh.
another step up. But especially
Winner's dog and
best of winners.
best of winners.
Yeah.
Best of winners.
Mhm.
Okay, so yes, this is another like authority bookmark. I'd say this is one of the first big, bold print credibility builders you should have on your website, in your bio. Like this is one of the first things you should tell people. It's like, I am the only owner handler who's won multiple years of Winner's Dog Best of Winners at the national specialty.
Yeah.
Like
So only
that for people, for anybody who's
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so like for anybody in the industry, that will mean something to them. For people who don't know, or like, I just want to spend like a lot of money on the most expensive dog I can get. Who's the best? Like that tells me you're the best, and then you get to explain, well, what does that mean? Okay, so there's a lot of different filters to determine the quality of dog. This is one of the higher ranking. There's, you mentioned earlier, it's like there's a champion, which is like if you want a cream of the crop dog, you have to start at that level. There's best of breed, groups, best in show. Like so, what I'm talking about is this is a very specific show on a national level where these are only the best dogs in the country who are the best of their class, the best of their breed. So there's handfuls of dogs. Like we're not talking dozens, hundreds. We're talking like very few. I am the only owner handler who's competed at that level and won multiple times in a row. That's because I have, over 30 years of experience with the breed. I have over 24 years helping dogs finish other people's dogs, other people's puppy litters. This is something that I'm really good at. And if you want expertise on how to get a good dog, I'm the person you should be talking to.
Hmm.
So I would say that's something that you just need to get that like kind of down pat as a memory things like what are the two, three, four things that you should talk about? And that should be one of the first things out of your mouth. It's like I'm the only owner or handler who's won multiple years in a row at the National Specialty and Ketters, like Winners Dog, Best of Winners.
Hmm.
And I've got lots and lots of experience doing this. So if for somebody who wants the best of the best, who wants a winner and who's looking for a new dog or who has a dog and they want to talk to people who are the best, this is something that shows your experience and shows kind of the challenges that you've overcome those sorts of like, there's barriers and gatekeepers in this industry. You've exceeded all of those. So you're somebody who has gone through that and you can help people in that arena. So, and then your expertise is you talk about like how long you've been helping other people's dogs, training in obedience, helping give a lot of support and care for people's pets. Working closely with veterinarians and families who've had animals pass, and like how do you deal with the healthcare and those sorts of things. Like you start talking about some of the things that people value. Like this is kind of lower on the priority list, but these are things that help people see why you did all this stuff. Like this is the best of the best and the most interesting. But then you want to make yourself human, relatable, and somebody that they really want to connect with. Because there are a lot of people who are experts, and you've even mentioned like there are people in that industry, but in every industry, it's like the people who are at the top, sometimes they are not very pleasant people to deal with. They just have so much competing for their attention. They don't have the bandwidth to give to everybody. There are people who they just don't like interacting with people, and they keep everyone at arm's distance. And for somebody who really enjoys talking to people who love their dogs, and you want to support those kinds of people, you want to show some values of like what is it that makes you different, and you can talk about like there are people in this industry who all they care about is the credibility, the dogs winning. They will, they're all about the industry and propagating the breed. They're more of an accountant for the lineage of dogs than anything else. And that's great. I'm somebody who also very deeply cares for the families who owns these pets. And sometimes they take them to the shows just so that they can have them as a pet. I really love supporting those kinds of families because they make incredible family members. And like that's something that differentiates you from the rest of the industry. It's like I am at the top, I am the cream of the crop, but here's a reason you would pick me over other people.
Right.
And that really makes you stand out as somebody that's well, now I want to work with you instead of like the guy that the CEO of the hospital was telling me, this guy, he knows everything. He's the best of the best. Yeah, but he might also be a jerk. I like Leslie because she's telling me about like the things that I want to hear. It's like I'm getting this dog for my kids as much as anything else. So and for you to affirm like that's what I love to see is families who are going to treat these dogs and give them a great life so that they can live up to their purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a thing that really differentiates is a lot of people that are trying to compete with their dogs or breed dogs to compete at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
They always put conformation first, physical characteristics first. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they put temperament second or third. And then you beautiful dog that's not a very functional family member. Maybe it can be trained
Gotcha.
the
Mm-hmm.
the routine of dog show, and
Mm-hmm.
so they function
Mm-hmm.
fine there, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
temperamentally
Right.
sound. And that's one part of what makes my lines really special that I got from Pat, from my mentor. She always focused on temperament first, and she always taught me most of these dogs are going to become family members. So it doesn't do anybody any good if they're beautiful, and terrible to live with. So they have to be good to live with first. And I don't mind if it takes me longer to develop the conformational excellence to go with that. And that's exactly what she did. It took her longer than some of her peers to get dogs that could compete at those highest conformational levels, but she never sacrificed temperament. And now not everybody has the experience to do that. And they don't even know what the really best temperament of a standard schnauzer looks like. So they don't recognize how far they're falling short because they just have never lived with it. But people get to see my dogs and they're like, they can be like this. This dog's got a wonderful temperament. Yes, these dogs have wonderful temperaments. And that's, so for me, it's like, that's the cake, is the temperament. But then the icing, and it's really good icing, is that they can be competitive at these very high levels of with their physical excellence as well as their mental and temperamental excellence. And the showing
Okay.
really helps bring that out because they get a ton of socialization while they're out being shown. And that's another hidden benefit that people don't really recognize, is the socialization. They get some basic training to just learn to take guidance from the human that they're with.
So that would be something that I definitely would include. I would say I would place that probably higher than, like the expertise, like all the shows that you've been at, and like, here's all your wins, here's all the years of working with the breeds, here's all the things you've done for other people to help them finish. Like that stuff is probably lower on the chart. I would say this is one of those things for me as a prospective animal owner and as somebody who has a family. It's like I would lead with, my dogs are the best in class from an objective standpoint. But the thing that makes them special is they are all selected and have been for generations to be great family dogs. Not every, and that sets you apart immediately. Not everybody is interested in breeding dogs with temperaments that are good for family pets. And whether you have ambitions to consistently show your dog, or you just want them to finish so you can have the check mark of, I have a really good quality dog, know that mine were selected for temperament first. There's no point in having a best in class dog that you keep locked up in a cage because it doesn't know how to be around people or other dogs. Like, all of these dogs are meant to be family pets as well as compete at the highest level possible. And like, there's nobody that can compete with you at that point. And then you can come in with, I'm the only owner handler who's won multiple years in a row. I've got 24 years of experience helping other dogs finish and showing standard schnauzers and competing for 30 years. It's like, here's all of my resume, like here's all of the awards, all of the shows I've been at, all of the other dogs that I've helped at competitions. It's like, and then that becomes your resume and your bio.
Mm-hmm.
So in that order, because we really, this I think for a dog owner, for a new dog owning family, I think this is going to be kind of a big deal. So I think you want to hit, like, you're going to hit experience and challenges like with one go by just talking about, here's the level that I've competed at, and I'm one of the only people in the world who's done this. And then talk about the temperament, then the rest of your experience, and then I think you should, I don't know, maybe lead with your perspective, something like, I believe in I believe in, dogs that I believe in supporting families who understand that their dogs can have a purpose that is just as great and important as the family that owns them. If you're a family that has a calling, that has a purpose, and you want a dog that matches the the journey that you're on, and that is the best kind of animal, that is, even if that calling is primarily to be a great companion for your kids or for for yourself, these animals are like really special. And you know um share like where you're coming from your heart. Condense that perspective into something that goes into um, your bio, and like something that really helps people to connect to the kind of person you are, because that'll be something that kind of knits you together with your best quality prospects. Because there'll be people who will hire you because you are the authority, you're the only place that they can go, they just want to give you the money, and it's a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have people like that. You're gonna go from those people to the people that like those people are gonna be the ones in between, where you find like the really kind of like kindred spirit, like the soulmate. Like, "Oh, I'm so glad I get to work with this family, so
Yeah.
glad that like they get it." And so I would share that for sure. Your perspective of why it's really important.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you feel like we've covered all of the things you want to cover, in terms of like, here's all of the professional data points that I need to share?
Mhm.
Are there any other things that come to mind that gives um just like outside of the dog show arena, are there any sort of like um author credits, like being published or quoted, or being sought as an expert, like things that you can cite or mention that might be of value in a bio like this?
It's a couple of things probably. I have a podcast that's called On Leash Unleashed. So
Hmm.
that has some training philosophies at a basic level, at an
Hmm.
accessible level. And
Hmm.
also I've run my own grooming business for over
Hmm.
20 years, and I've have my own grooming shop, brick and
Hmm.
mortar shop, that I've had for 11. um but for now I don't yet have any things published, although all of these efforts ultimately are leading to books that I know are inside me that need to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really exciting.
It is. I just really started this journey a couple years ago. Basically got some divine pushes and some divine help to get started, and was like, oh, is
Hmm.
this what I'm doing now? Okay. Um, so yeah, that's all. Want to just keep unfolding all of the possibilities that I have. But in terms of being published, not really. I've been kind of introverted and
Hmm.
kind of on my own for 20 years or so, and just doing my own
Yeah.
thing with the
Hmm.
people that came to me. But now I'm
Yeah.
ready to expand that and be the resource that I recognize, the quality
Hmm.
resource that I recognize I am.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Then the only other things that we didn't go over so much, but I can, with the way we've talked about this, I can still do is the bio, so to speak, for Frodo and for Karma,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
for my breeding program
Hmm.
in general. But yeah.
Okay, so that would be like you have. I guess I'm assuming there's like a way that you show a dog's history or kind of like their
Yeah, their
kind of
win record.
professional credits. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
their win
yeah.
record, what they've accomplished, because the people who are at the highest end, who are looking, who are this red hot
Hmm.
prospect, they're going to be like, yeah, sure, you can say a bunch of stuff about how
Hmm.
good your dogs are, but
Hmm.
prove it.
Hmm.
Now I need to see the proof. And the proof is,
Yeah.
number one dog, number one
Hmm.
standard schnauzer in the country in 2019, competed at
Hmm.
Westminster 5 times. Um,
Hmm.
you know, Best of Breed National Specialty Week multi-group winner, Stud Dog of the
Hmm.
Year for the National Club 2021. We're positioning him to have that again next year. So that's um, part of what we're trying to do, is to continue to grow his credibility as a sire. So why do you want a puppy from him? Why do you want him in the pedigree? Well, here's why, because here's all that he
Hmm.
did. And then here's his daughter, and all she's already done. She's barely 2. And she's already reached this level,
Hmm.
this level, this level, this level. So that when she's done showing, and now she's going to have puppies
Hmm.
available in another year and a half or so,
Hmm.
why people want those puppies. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
we're going down the road, is to try to position the pedigree and position the dogs themselves so that they are the proof of why the next generation of puppies are worth what I'll be asking for them, and why people
Hmm.
should be looking forward to, oh, there's not puppies now, but she's going to have puppies in another year or two. I want to be ready for that, so that people are ready to step in to be interested. Um, you
Hmm.
know, so ultimately that's kind of the goal we're working towards, and to get from the handler's perspective, from my team members' perspective, that there's predictable, it makes them look better to see, so that every time they show up in front of judges with a standard schnauzer, the judge is like, oh my gosh, you've got another great looking one. How do you do that?
Hmm.
And also, so they have some regular income coming in that's predictable. So the more they can help me position the dogs to be more competitive,
Hmm.
and in the end, that is more income that they will be able to generate for themselves, because I'll be able to attract the kind of clients who will be willing and able to pay handling fees. So that's, I'm having it explained that this is how it works at the next level, higher than the one I've been until now. So that's what I'm
Hmm.
setting myself up to do. Yeah.
I like that. So let's see here. Um, so I'm gonna give you a copy of this document. I'm gonna.
And also, if you could ultimately zoom in on the board behind you, it's kind of small for me to see on the
Oh
screen
yeah,
when
absolutely.
when
I'll
I
yeah,
access the replay. Then I'll
yeah,
be
I'm gonna take a picture of this. I'll send this along with the Word doc.
okay. Perfect.
So what I'm doing is I'm just outlining for you I think what I believe to be the best um, credibility builder in terms of formatting your bio, and I'll put that right at the top of the document. Expert bio. Okay, and then I'll send that along with you, and you should be able to just plug in the relevant stuff that we talked about. And then if you search the video, probably after a day or so, the video will be transcribed, it happens automatically. So like you can search that if you search for the like authority bookmark, you'll find some of those things that I suggested to go back and take a look at those stories. But yeah, you talk about your belief statement about the importance of supporting families who have dogs with a purpose.
Yeah.
Um, talk about what makes you exclusive and an expert. Why are you world class? Why are you one of a kind? You're an owner handler who's competed at this level. Your dogs have won all of these different things. And then you need to talk about your values, which is, I think temperament is more important than the credentials. I have world class dogs. I've helped other dogs become world class. Um, but you want a dog that is just as good a pet as it is a standard in the breed. And then you can kind of list off the experience, or sort of like the awards that your dogs have won, the to kind of list like Frodo um, and Karma, kind of their credits, so to speak, to just sort of put that final stamp of like, this is why, I can say that my dog, like, my expertise matters because I have dogs that have competed at the very, very top.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's what I've created this document, just kind of taking notes as we went and outlining. That's what I'll put at the very, very top of kind of the order that you should write stuff in, and then I'll send what we wrote on the board and a couple of the example of the bio that you can be kind of modeling, and you can expand and contract depending on, like, on the website. You probably want to give more information.
Mhm.
In if you're getting used to talking in front of other people, introducing yourself, you'll want to have like just a 2-3 sentence version of kind of like the liner in the book that we looked at. It's like, well, I'm the only owner handler who's competed at what is it? The national specialty, in Winter's Dog, Best of Winners. My dogs have competed, Frodo um, and Karma have competed at these levels. But I also, the thing that makes me special is my dogs are bred for temperament, so they make really, really great pets, which surprises people who are around show dogs, because not all show dogs are good for being around families, good for being around people, and good for being around kids. Which, that's what I love doing, is having dogs that are great to be around, but they're also the best in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you introduce yourself that way, and that's what you become known for. Like, people are going to come to you. It's like, man, you're going to have so many people who want one of your dogs but maybe won't be able to afford it. But then those people are going to kind of share. It's like, oh man, like, if you were shopping for a dog, if you can afford it, like, you should go to Leslie, because she has the puppies you really want.
Right. That, yes. That sounds good. That's real good. I like all it.
All righty. Well, is this helpful? Do you feel like this makes your next steps easier, or is this like, okay, well, I don't know when I'm gonna get around to putting this stuff
Well,
together, but
it does make it easier for me to narrow things down, because
mhm,
I'm like, this is all my experiences and
yeah,
what I need to write and how do I get from here to here. So
mhm,
that's helpful in that regard. And I'll just have to make the time to either to get it written out, or if that just seems to be taking too long, then I might be back and be like, hey, how can you help me
mm,
get it even more converted into a form that I can send to my partners.
yeah,
But
mhm,
yeah, definitely. I think that I have a much clearer idea of what I'm trying to express.
Yeah.
I did before. Before I was just kind of like, well, here's the fire hose. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
As opposed to here's
Hmm.
what you need to know.
Yeah. Mhm. You know, something I would do if you're gonna put this on your website, and it may be real prominent, but in your um, like the way that you help people when you mention on your bio, it's like mention that you have a community where you specifically support families who have dogs like this, and then you can have a link to your community. So it's like for people who are kind of curious and they're like, oh, I kind of want to check this out. It can funnel them into your community where when people are talking about dogs and the pets and stuff like that can be something that beyond you trying to like educate people and get them excited about having dogs, like every time there's something happening in that community that anybody else does, it's like it sends people notifications if they join that group, it so anybody that they make friends with, anybody that they follow, like it's going to show them stuff over and over again, so it just keeps you top of mind. So that would
Mhm.
be one. I mean, I'm all about groups and communities. So that's something that I feel like is a real easy way to continue nurturing your prospects into that time when they're like, I'm really thinking about getting a dog. It's like they may have interacted with your community or people from your community dozens of times without you having to reach out and remind them that, oh yeah, I read that thing about that lady who does schnauzers or something. It's like if they join your community, if they're friends with other people who have great dogs, and then that's making them like, oh yeah, I really wish my kids grew up with a really good quality dog. You know, they're seeing that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. For right now, I've got the standard schnauzer. I mean, my kennel has a group,
Mm-hmm.
Straw Hat Standard Schnauzers. I got a group for
Mm-hmm.
that. I've got the Dogs and Dharma group, which is the more general one
Mm-hmm.
about where I'm going to start cultivating the idea. I'm already cultivating the idea and curating content for showing
Mm-hmm.
dogs in purpose. And
Yeah.
then once I am ready to offer that about
Mm-hmm.
um, helping people find their dog's purpose, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to start a group just
Yeah.
for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I am continuing to every day a little more with the things with the groups to be more intentional and practice some of the
Yeah.
things that I've learned from you and from Brian about interacting with people in the other groups so that they see
Mm-hmm.
you post when you post and some stuff like that too. So
Mm-hmm. Cool.
yeah.
Do you mind if I take a second to show you an idea that I'm working on?
No, I don't mind at all.
It's so one of the things that I mean, just as we're talking, you're talking about like figuring out how to like write things up and the marketing stuff. So I mean, this is something I'm working on in my own business. I'm trying to solve. But what I've realized, like from all of the people that I've interviewed, and especially in the groups like in Crowdscale and Brian's Icon Mastermind, there's like a lot of people who they understand the value of marketing, but it's like getting over the hurdle of like I just got to go do this homework or this assignment. It's like I got to write stuff, and it's a lot of work. Like it's a lot of if you haven't done it before, it's like a whole experience of doing it to learn it, and then like it's a first draft essentially, and then just like you got to keep polishing it, keep doing it. And so like for me, my part of my philosophy is like, man, if you can say the most important parts of what you do right away in a format that people can easily understand, that's the kind of thing that gets the like when I say the red hot clients, like the people who are kind of looking for somebody to help them right now, that's the stuff that helps them make a decision faster. So don't I don't have anything to urge here, but like I wanted to kind of get your honest feedback in terms of like this is something I'm thinking about doing for people, and I wanted to see what you thought. So for my own thing, I've started putting together the stuff that we're doing in our course, and that I'm trying to communicate in a simple way what it is that we do for people. And so, but what I've realized is like having the information about what you do for people in a format like this might be actually really useful for other people too. And what I found is they don't quite have the skill sets to pull all that stuff out from their life experience and then quickly put it in a format that does that. And I don't know, I have no idea what people need or want, but I wanted to kind of bounce this off you in terms of like, do you see this as something you would find valuable, or that potentially maybe you think other people might find valuable if it saves them a lot of time and headache putting this stuff together in a format like this? So like I talk a lot about like your business really needs to have your values. Like you need to have the face of your business. Otherwise, you're just invisible to your clients. They don't understand why they should talk to you, what value you provide to them. So you need that story that communicates, here's what the results that I get for you. And it gets the attention of those red hot prospects so that
Mhm.
you can get, you're not having to spend weeks and weeks marketing. You're getting the people who are kind of the low hanging fruit. You have to have a space where you can put those stories and where other people can tell their stories. So you're constantly nurturing. And that space needs to be able to expand without adding time to your business. Like a Facebook group is a great, why I think it's great is because you can add as many people as you want. And so, it's got an unlimited potential. There are groups that have millions of people. Whereas like if you are using like a paid service or something where it like limits you the amount of people that you can have on your email subscriber list, or in a course or something, you need a space that can expand as big as it's possible to go and that's easy for you to run. And so that's why we have the systems that are simplified so that you can just launch your business in 5 minutes a day. It's very, very straightforward, so it's not overwhelming. Like it needs to be simple enough that you can do it and just get moving. And so
For me, I
then,
just want to say already, it sounds really ideal for me because one
mhm,
of my challenges, because this is, I mean, growing into this is also part of my personal development work. And so it's
mhm,
also, so I'm coming up on the threshold of overwhelm pretty frequently because I'm
mm,
transitioning from an old way of living into a new
mhm,
way of living. And, then I'm like, oh, I didn't work on the thing. And now I'm kind of beating myself up.
yeah,
I need to, but then that's when the overwhelm kicks in, and then I'm like, oh, then I gotta do something else. But so even being able to know,
mhm.
that's part of what I liked about the Brian's the WOW course.
Right, yeah, his
It
his
was
workshop training is
because
great.
it's short. I can
Mhm,
put the time in, I can do a little bit of work, and I can
mhm,
see demonstrable progress without
yeah,
feeling like, oh, do I have to invest 6 months before I even start to see
mhm,
anything? Ugh. So
yeah,
already just the whole thing of without overwhelm, that's nice. That's great. And five
mhm,
minutes a day, I could do that because even if I've had a
mm,
crazy day, I could do that in the morning before I leave, or I
mhm,
could do that one before I go to bed, whatever. And just because I'm growing to know the community and
mhm,
who you are, then I know that these things, I mean, I haven't read ahead too far, but create
yeah,
an inviting space with safety care. Those are certainly things that you have shown to me and made sure that I feel.
mhm,
So I know
mhm,
what you're talking about when you're promoting that, yes, I can teach you how to do this.
mhm,
Um, yeah. And like I said, just because I'm starting out, I I need I need first grader level stuff.
yeah,
Great. Some of the stuff that's out there is great, and it's seriously like AP history.
mhm,
Senior, that's way high school. I'm
yeah,
still a first grader, but I want to be a first grader with a business.
mhm,
So help me with
yeah,
grader content or the second grader content, the elementary school content
mhm,
that I need to get up to speed to be able to utilize some of the more advanced stuff.
mhm. Well,
Yeah.
that's really useful for me to know. That's good. If if this was because we're putting together, this is going to be like a 5 week um, training program that lets you launch your 5 minute Facebook groups. So it's going to be creating it and then running it. Like to be able to maintain it, it's still going to just be a little bit of time every day. It's not going to take hours and hours. It's not you don't have to sit there and babysit a post for hours, you know. And so the goal is to like shrink the minimum requirements of what your business needs to be sustainable so that it is doable.
Hmm.
That way, like you can actually spend most of your time either fulfilling on helping your clients or just like being in your community and having conversations, helping people, actually talking about the stuff that you're interested in talking about. Which when I talk to people about why do you love being a coach, what is it that you actually really love the most? It's it's the seeing people, the light bulb click on for people. It's like when you share something and it changes something for them, when they learn something, when they have a transformation, like that's the stuff people really want to be doing. But then you have to do all this other stuff to help people realize what your business is and what you help them. They feel like they have to build and create and do all this stuff before they get to that. And so the goal of this is to help get people going right away so they can just jump to that part, which is like the helping and transforming. So it's like you can be doing that most of the time on your way to getting more and more business and more clients. Anyway, but the thing that I really wanted to, I mean, this helps you see how straightforward like what we're offering is to kind of understand. But would it be helpful for you to have like your consulting information or like your like this is if you want a puppy from me or if you want to get my help um, from like a professional level as a dog consultant, like this is what I do for you. Like, would it be helpful to have something like this built for you instead of having to try and figure out, well, what's the right way to market this or to say this so that it's like organized
Yeah, I think um
for every piece of the program. It's like it has a thing, but like if you had something you could go to every time and show people, well, yeah, if you're interested in working with me, here are the main things I help you with. If you're looking for a puppy, if you want a best in class puppy, you're gonna have to show them. You're gonna have to get them at least finished so that in order to get access to the best dogs, like that's going to open up your opportunities. So if you want to get a dog from me, you want to get a dog from another high quality breeder, the best dogs that aren't going to send up a red flag, it's like that care more about the dog and the quality of dog than just getting your money, they're going to require you to show them. And if you don't have any interest in that or you don't know how to do that, I'm somebody who, as part of my package, like I'll work with you and figure out how can we make sure that this fits into the lifestyle that you want. And if that means we hire handlers for you, we connect you with the people that will do it for you. That's what I'm an expert at doing. I've shown other people's dogs. I've connected dogs with other in those, and that's what we do, professionally. And so then being able to walk people through every single step of this is what it looks like to work with me. This is where I hold your hand. This is the level of expertise that I have. So you not only have the expertise and authority and credibility, but people know what they're getting when they work with you. People know what they're buying. Does that is that helpful? Like what does that feel
yeah,
like? What's your thoughts?
so for me it sounds great actually, because it's hard for me to distill my own knowledge down to what is the most valuable. I mean,
Mm,
and it's all from within my own head, so I'm not even sure that what I think is the most valuable is what someone else from the outside looking in would find the most valuable. And so it's always helpful to have somebody's perspective who's not involved at the level that I am, because sometimes I don't know when I'm talking way over. um, But also, I just have so many irons in the fire right now that implementation is a challenge for me, just chronic challenge for me. So if there was some kind of, you know, interview leading to some production of here, this
Mhm.
sounds like this is what you're trying to express here. This is created for you to just plug and play kind of thing, based on that's individualized to me. That is what I
Mhm.
would write if I had the time and the expertise and the copywriting and all of that. Then that would fill a lot of things for me, because I could be in action faster, and
Mm.
I wouldn't have the, so many things are new, and every time there's a new, the learning curves, like, you're putting in time and effort for a while before you start to see results that are valuable. And I'd love to just jump from, here to like here. I just start here where it starts to go like that. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
and so to have a partner to help create the stuff for me, it's been good to have a partner to help teach me how to create it for myself. But it would be valuable for me to have some of the things already done, so that I
Mm.
could take things right away to my VA and be like, publicize this. This is I'm I was here, but now I'm here. I'm ready to start doing things. And the beginning is the hardest part for me, I think, to build the framework, to build the structure, to, here's the recipe. Here's an analogy for you. I don't know if you've ever heard of HelloFresh. So,
Yes.
okay. So we started using HelloFresh at home about 3.5 months ago. Because it solved some problems for us. My son came up with it as an idea, and I'm like, all right, we'll try it out. Well, it turns out we're both learning how to cook from it, because it not only sends you all the ingredients but the way the recipes and how to prepare it
Mhm.
is actually pretty high level instructions, but it's been broken down by an expert for non chefs to be able to succeed. So
Mhm.
so it isn't just, well, here's a recipe, like in your recipe book where there's terms, you're like, deglaze a pan. What? I have to go to the glossary and look oh, that's this whole other step. Okay. Instead, it's just spelled out. And I just recognize after I did it a couple of times, oh, this is deglazing the pan. Okay, sweet. But we never expected when we started that service that it was going to be teaching us how to cook, teaching us how to be cooks, as opposed to just
Mm.
how to make food, you know?
Right.
So it isn't just follow these directions and
Mhm.
you end up with a product at the end. That would have been valuable. That's what I expected to get out of it. But instead, oh, this is actually teaching me a bunch of skills that once I repeat it enough times
Mhm.
through this process, I'll be able to just go and buy some ingredients and come and actually be able to just make some food without the, I don't know if that analogy is helpful, but that
Very.
something like that just that's here's how you do it, but in a way where you're actually following the steps, and it creates a thing for you, and you can experience it and go, oh, this worked out really well. And then as you continue to do it, then you see
Mhm.
similarities from this recipe to that recipe, and then things just start to become easier, because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we did that in this other recipe. I've done that 5 times now. Instead,
Mhm.
it's so much new. Everything is new,
Mhm.
and everything is hard because it's new.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially
I hear you. It's
from
like
the perspective of,
it's easy when you've done it, but when it's new, it's like even though it's supposed to be easy, it's like I've never done it. I don't have those skills. So for me, it's difficult. And I completely hear you. Like that's been, my journey the last 2.5 years, I think, like the first year or two, I'm like, this is so exciting. You get excited because you're like, oh, it's so simple. You just do this, 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 and this, and then you start and the whole thing just expands in front of you. Like, what am I even doing? And now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, now I understand you got to talk about what people want and not the way you think you understand it, because most people won't understand it the way that you do. And you have
Right.
to be paying really close attention to how other people are asking for that help. And usually they'll say, things wildly different than, somebody saying like, yeah, I just have a lot of things going on. It's like that may mean something else, like I'm not happy in my marriage. It may, be like, oh, my kids are just really difficult. Might mean I hate my job. I wish I had a steady source of income. Like you have to understand your market and like the ways that they say this, but they mean something else that really gets at a different problem way, way deep down. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And from a demographic perspective, so I'm 55 and I
Mhm.
am a recovering technophobe. And so I was an early computer science minor, and it just the coding just killed me. Anyway, um,
Mm,
but so there's eh, but as I'm older, so my expertise has gotten narrower and narrower and narrower, and I'm used to knowing
mhm,
how to do the things. My
mhm,
ego hates to face starting over at anything,
mm,
because it's been so long since I
mhm.
had to do that, that it makes me feel
Yeah.
bad about myself. It makes me, and I'm kind of generalizing, I think other people's experience that are around my age, certainly older females who are starting to enter this space. Um, and I think it
Mhm,
really helps us to have,
mm,
okay, well, you're down at the bottom of the ladder. Let me help you get to at least the first platform of being able
mm.
to
Uh-huh.
implement. And so
Mhm,
here's the, instead of, oh, okay, so to build this deck, I have to go to Home Depot and I have to buy all the stuff, and then I have to figure out how to bring it all back to the house, and then
mhm,
here, we'll just deliver all of it to you, and here's the instructions for you to build it. Or better yet, here,
mhm,
we built the thing for you, and now you just attach it to your house.
mm,
But
mhm.
I think the more, obviously, the more it's done for you, the more time intensive on the other person. And so the more the cost is, and there's a trade-off there, especially when you're starting a business. But
Mhm,
for me, the biggest challenge has really been getting in motion, because it feels like getting in
mm,
motion for me is still such a small piece. It's still not, I need 20 pieces this big to get to the first thing that will actually give me
mm.
an achievable goal. So it feels like I'm having to work
Yeah.
really hard for a long time before I can see anything back. And if that's something that would be
Mhm,
easy for somebody else to build, be like, well, that took you
mhm,
2 months and I can do it in 2 hours. Here you go.
mhm,
Then I think that there's a lot of people who are at
mm.
my first grade level who would be
Yeah.
interested in that.
Mhm. That's really helpful to hear. Does this feel like, because I know you mentioned earlier, like just with all of the stuff you have going on, it's like if somebody just handed you like, oh, here's something that I can show people right now, that if they ask me how I can help them, I can show them this is what you get if you work with me. It's like if you had something like that, would you feel like you can actually move forward a lot
Yeah,
faster?
yes, because I'm almost finished with my program for finding your dog's purpose, your dog's higher purpose, at
Hmm.
least enough to feel like I could step someone through the process in a way that would give them value. Great. And
Mhm.
then it's like, now I got to go back to square zero in getting that message out to start
Mhm.
getting those people in. I'd really rather just
Mhm.
be able to start talking to the people and helping them. And if somebody could build me
Mhm.
some of the mechanics to get some of those people in,
Yeah.
then that
Mhm.
would save me time. I'd be able to help people sooner, and it would just feel more like I'm making
Mhm.
progress instead of intellectually having to
Yeah.
remind myself I'm making progress, but not feeling it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So how much like I don't know. I don't even know. Like you kind of ballpark like I don't know if it's gonna take me 2 months or 2 days or 2 hours. Like how much time do you feel like it would help you save?
For me, probably a month or two. I mean, really, the way
Mm.
partly that's because my circumstances are such that right now my cash flow is pretty tight. So I really have to
Mhm.
do a lot of the grooming right now, which is physical time.
Mhm.
And then it's
Yeah.
also tiring. So at the end of the day, I don't have a lot of
Mhm.
energy to be like, okay, let's start a whole nother second day to do the next thing. Um,
Right.
so or I'm at dog shows, like I'm gone for a week and then I come
Mhm.
back and then I have to catch up with everything again. And yeah, make incremental progress. I've been making
Mhm.
incremental progress, but I would really, now it's almost like I see the light at the end of the tunnel because I have a program. I'm ready to start teaching people.
Yeah.
And I'm still like,
Mhm.
yeah, but it's still this telescoping distance because
Yeah.
I don't have the messaging. I don't have the system. Now I'm like, okay, well, now I know
Mhm.
how to build a group. That's good. I can start cultivating that. But yeah, I think it could
Mhm.
save me months. It could save me
Wow.
months.
If you okay, you mentioned that you're doing a lot of grooming, like all of these dog owners. Is this something you like when they bring their dogs, like do they just kind of drop them off or do you like chit chat? Do you have relationships with these people?
Some of both. I pretty much at this point have cultivated exclusivity to the point that I no longer do grooming as a commodity. So
Mhm.
people are like, wow,
Mhm.
you charge that? Oh, I could get it a lot cheaper over there. Yes, I'm sure you could. And that's not me. And so that's fine.
Mhm.
I'm just
Mhm.
not interested in the grooming
Yeah.
for the people that are like, well, I just want to pay this much for the
Mhm.
work. Well, that's fine. That's totally legitimate.
Right.
There are
Mhm.
people that will pay this much
Mhm.
because they want the work done by me. And that's the difference.
Right. Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I have the experience to keep
Okay.
their dog safe. I have the experience to, even if their dog acts up, to protect their dog's psyche and mentality while I'm still getting them through a process they don't want to have happen, but they have to have
Mhm.
happen for their well-being and for yours. So there's a
Mm.
lot of places there where it's not positive for the dog
Mhm.
unless that's the priority. And that
Yeah.
slows the process down. And
Mhm.
so it takes longer. So of course it costs more. And
Yeah.
there's not very
How
many
much do
people
you
who actually know how to do that.
Mhm. How much do you charge for grooming? Like if somebody's like, just do your best work. Tell me whatever you want, and that's what I'll pay.
Okay, so then in that case, you go into my VIP category, and that's um one, it's been 100 an hour minimum too, but I need to bump it up to 125 an hour minimum too. So
Hmm.
that's the starting place. That my goal is to have my starting place be
Hmm.
$200, 250 for your
Hmm.
dog, and maybe 125 for little dogs because I could probably knock them out in an hour. But but yeah, that includes specialty grooming. So, hand stripping is a particular form of grooming we do for terriers, we do for the show schnauzers.
Mm,
I
mhm,
specialize in geriatric dogs because I've groomed for veterinarians for such a long time and I
mhm,
got a ton of those. All the dogs that the
mm,
grooming shops say, this dog is too old, too frail, too fragile, too senile for us to do safely anymore. You need to have it
mm,
groomed by your vet. That was me. I did those
mm,
dogs for like 10 years. So I'm really good at that. I know how to keep them safe
mhm,
physically. I know how to keep them safe mentally. And so those are some of the areas. And then puppies,
mhm,
socializing puppies to the grooming process in a positive way because they're going to have to experience it their whole life. That's
mhm.
massively undervalued by most people. They're just like, well, he doesn't look like he needs it yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the hair is still only this long, but he needs it up here starting right
Mhm,
away to have him get
yeah.
used to the fact that a non-family member can
Mhm,
interact with him in an invasive way, in a real,
yeah.
I got to clipper your butt. I got to hold your tail. You got to let me work around your ears, your eyes, and
Mhm,
you have to be cool with that so you don't get hurt. Um, so those are probably my main specialties. And,
gotcha.
and so, yeah, as much as I can. And I'm trying to, my next step is going to be to convert people into packages. Pretty much at this
Mhm,
point, if I can't take many new clients. So any that I'm
mhm,
going to make the time for, I want them to commit up front to 2, 3, 4 grooming sessions.
mhm,
So that and maybe pay half up front, and they gotta
mhm.
almost more like the coaching
Yeah.
packages
Mhm,
paradigm that I've been learning as I've been learning about coaching. That's been shaped
yeah.
my
Mhm,
that's kind of a nice paradigm. I kind of like that.
yeah.
Um, as you have pay up front for a package of grooming sessions,
Mhm,
and then that way, if they don't show up, I'm not out. If they
mhm,
show up, great, I do it. It's got to be within a certain time frame, so I'm not
mhm.
2 years later. I still have a voucher. Oh, yeah, but
Yeah.
now my price is higher, and
Yeah.
getting it at a discount because anyway, that kind of thing. So
Mhm,
it's and that and the breeding. Those are the two
mhm,
two things. I'm really just trying to evolve my grooming into
mhm,
absolutely high end, the people
mhm,
who are like, no, I want the person, I want you, not I
mm.
want this groom. If you want this
Right.
groom, you can go to PetSmart.
Mhm,
If you want my expertise
mhm.
handling your dog. Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, while I'm expertly handling your dog, I can groom it.
Mhm,
Then those are the clients I'm looking for my grooming.
yeah. Um, if you were charging, um, like if you could get paid whatever you wanted, um, for the grooming, and you were only doing the amount that you wanted to be doing, like what would that look like? Like if you got, I don't know, if you got new grooming clients and they said, tell me what you want to charge, I'll pay it, and you can set your rate. What would that look like? What would it be worth to you? Because I know you're trying to move away from grooming. So what is your time worth at this point? If they say, yeah, I want you to be my grooming person for the next year or two.
Yeah, I would love if I'm gonna go to the grooming shop and put the physical labor in, I would love to make 750 a day, maybe even 1,000 a day. That'd be great. And groom like 4 dogs.
Hmm. So that's like 200,
Two to
250 a dog.
Yeah,
Okay. And
that's what
what is that in terms of like typical rates? Like if they had to go to the vet or if they had to go to another nice groomer, what is the differential? Not that it matters because you're one of a
I'm
kind, but like, what is?
sure. I'm actually a little out of touch with that right now because the whole pet market is completely in flux because so many new dogs came in during COVID that
Mm-hmm.
there are fewer professionals available at every level. And
Oh.
so I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'm raising my rates in line with what I should be, given
Mm,
how hard it is to get in to any
mm,
groomer right now or any vet right now. It's very common that you have to wait 3 to 4 weeks to get in at all. If they're even
really?
taking new clients, like me,
Wow.
I'm barely even cherry picking new clients.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Mm,
that's a real issue in the pet industry right now is there's not enough professionals for all of the dogs that have been added to households since COVID.
mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting.
But I would say it depends on the size of the dog, it depends on the type of work that's being done, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
something I can give an assistant, how much time I can have saved.
Mm-hmm.
But I would guess that like small dogs probably start at 75 and expensive would be 125 to 150 for a small dog,
Mm-hmm.
and medium-sized dogs that get a haircut that gets a style as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
I just shear it like sheep. You
Mm, uh-huh.
if it gets a style on it that you actually had to get some training to learn how to do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
those are probably 125, 1 to
Mm-hmm.
125. I'm not
Mm.
talking box stores. I'm kind of discounting, taking out
Right.
of the
Mm-hmm.
equation
Yeah.
Petco, PetSmart,
Professional
other
groomers, people who know
other
what they're
professional
doing.
independent groomers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably about like that. And then really specialty grooms, like things that require not just knowing the style, but the physical
Mm-hmm.
skills of like hand scissoring for
Mm-hmm.
poodles, Portuguese water dogs, stuff like that, or the
Yeah.
hand stripping that
Mm.
I do. Those probably ought to be anywhere from 2 to 250.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, in your grooming business, like you mentioned assistants, you have other people that cut for you?
Currently, I only have other people who bathe for me, but I have had other people that cut for me. But ultimately, for I think looking back on the last 10 years of having assistants at various level or other groomers working for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the added income was worth the trouble.
Mm.
I'm not eager to add anyone at that level right
Mm-hmm.
now. Partly that's
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not consistent with
Mm-hmm.
my time in the grooming shop, and
Mm-hmm.
especially starting out, those people need a certain amount of supervision. There's
Yeah.
no point bringing them in if I'm not going to commit to that.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, when I didn't have those people around anymore for the various reasons, I found some relief in that. And I was like,
Mm.
not sure I really, not sure I really want that right now.
Sure. Yeah. Employees aren't really what you're excited about. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Although at the bathing level and the general, like doing some admin, making my phone calls, doing that kind of stuff, absolutely. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do any of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
and the bathers mean I can do more dogs because
Mm-hmm.
the bathing and the drying is a
Mm-hmm.
significant piece of the
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So I guess the reason I'm asking is like I just had this thought, this idea, and it seems like in your own business it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But have you ever considered doing a workshop or a master class where you demonstrate or talk about the things that you know how to do, like teaching un unsocialized puppy, grooming unsocialized puppies, like geriatric dogs, show dogs that require a specific type of attention. Like you've mentioned, it's like a special type of like work with their hair. Um, and what I'm wondering is like, I wonder if that would be valuable to other professional groomers to be certified by you, like as like these are the things that I know how to do, but in terms of like a credibility builder for you, it's like here's a low cost way for you to kind of get an outside stamp of approval for people who they want to add, I don't know, a different kind of level of client to their business, but that allows you to, you're not doing any of the work. You've taught it once, and that's something that you can kind of like get your name familiar with other people in the professional dog industry. And so then when people are like, hey, do you know anybody who specializes in schnauzers? Like I'm thinking about showing my dog something. It's like, that's what you've already started to grow your network professionally and get paid to do that. It's I don't know that it's necessarily something you need to do right away or anytime soon, but just an idea I thought of like might
I've thought
might allow
about
you to.
I've thought about something that's a little like that. I have been in the last 6 months, especially. I created a new YouTube channel and I've been uploading some grooming videos, especially the
Mhm.
how-to on the hand stripping,
Mm,
specifically for standard schnauzers to help people with that I could
mhm,
ultimately turn into a course. Yet one more thing, it takes some time. And then, but I've considered doing some more, like I said, workshops or demos, either through my local regional standard schnauzer club, and to build. And then I was thinking about, I'm like, well, there are groom expos, professional, what's the word I'm looking for? Trade shows. That's it.
mm,
Where part of the attraction for the trade show is that there are professionals and experts who demonstrate some aspect of the profession. And
mm, mhm,
definitely I have that with standard schnauzers and with
mhm,
hand stripping both, and
mhm,
specifically hand stripping standard schnauzers.
mhm,
So I started getting some information about who do I contact in those organizations to find out
mhm,
about getting to be a guest speaker or something like that,
mhm,
because I thought that would be a good credibility uh,
mhm.
aspect to be able to say I've presented at Groom Expo
Yeah.
at Hershey Park, or
Mhm,
I've presented at Groom
mhm.
Orlando, or whatever, depending on
Yeah.
where I could travel and go for that. So
Mhm,
that was something I started thinking about a few months ago about,
mm, mhm.
yeah, I definitely could do that. And I don't have any
Yeah.
problem teaching groups of people, and I don't have any
Mhm.
problem talking for an hour. I'm talking about what I do. When
Yeah.
I make those videos, I just hit start and then just
Mhm.
started grooming the dog and just kept talking the whole time. And I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
that ended up being an hour. I was talking for an hour. Okay. So,
Awesome. Um, cool. Well, just let me know if you need some help, but like I feel like you should have what you need to write out your bio. If you feel like you want some additional help in organizing that, or if you want me to just go ahead and create some stuff for you, like we can have that conversation. But yeah, if you feel like you want to kind of continue unpacking some stuff and you want to get back on my calendar, just message me and let me know.
okay. If you were going to like package some stuff up for me, what would that
Hmm.
look like?
So what I what I'm hearing you talk about right now is the people that you're actually helping a lot is the grooming. It seems like if you had something that showed people, that educated either new clients or your existing clients, like, here's one of the reasons that you're paying this rate. And like if I raise my rates, it's already worth way up here because of my level of expertise and the quality of person. But like, when you're getting it at the price that I charge, like it's a great rate. It's competitive and it's actually a lot more valuable than what you're getting. So it seems like having something like that when people ask you, oh, yeah, what do you charge to groom your dogs? Like having something that shows them this is why it costs this much and why it's actually really a great deal because of the level of care that your dog will get from me. If you're asking for me to do your dog, you're asking for an expert to do it. You're not asking for a haircut, you're asking for a high level of respect for the process and for the safety, of your animal. And that's something that you have that not everybody does. And so it seems like that would be something that would be really valuable to have. So then you can raise your prices. If there are
Yeah.
people you really like that you just want to keep around, you can say, hey, I'm raising my prices, but I'm going to keep you at the rate, that we're doing right now, maybe just a very nominal bump, but just let people know I value your business. I appreciate it. But as you start growing, like if people come to you to say, hey, can you fit me in? Now you can charge, well, this is what it's worth, and this is what I ask. You have something that demonstrates that. So they're like, okay, that I understand. And then they're making a decision based on not just the cost, but it's like, do I really want Leslie or do I just need a haircut? They're
Right.
making a more fully informed decision. And then it sounds like you're getting close to where you need some literature on your course. So if you had something that demonstrate like that shows people, okay, for my course, this is exactly what you're buying. Here's what I'm going to teach you. Here's what it's going to cover. Here's how long it's going to be. Something similar to what I showed you for our program. It's like if you had that kind of a document for your course when people are like, hey, I'm interested in working with you more, and it sounds like your program might be useful. You can get on a little call with them. Here's exactly what you're buying. It does this, 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 this. Tell me your thoughts. I mean, kind of like what we're doing right now. It's like, just tell me what's on your mind. Give me your feedback of what that sounds like. And if it answers what they're looking for, you say, well, okay, would you like to do the program? Is that something that solves the problem that you have? Is that something you would like to learn from me? And if they say yes, well, this is what it costs. And you have something that shows them. Uh, Most people just don't grasp things from ideas and from like talking about it. And when you have it as something you can just walk them down, like it's this, it's this, it's this, and it uses like marketing language, copywriting. It talks about what they want. It gives them what they're wanting to hear. In addition to obviously you have the reason that it was important to you to share the information and to put together the course material. But you want to say it in a language that the prospects are going to
Hmm.
need to hear it.
Yeah.
So that's
The
kind of,
course is something that's probably a little farther down the
mhm,
road just because I got to prioritize somewhere. Right.
yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, because one of the things I know I need to do is I need to update the website for my grooming shop, but I
Hmm.
haven't known what to update it with. But what you're talking
Mm,
about doing is kind of distilling all of that. Yes,
mhm,
why me? When you're
mhm,
hiring me to groom your dog, you're hiring the expert handling.
mhm,
You're not just buying a
mhm,
haircut. And yeah, if I had a page or two to give to my
mhm,
the lady who runs my website to be like, because
mhm.
I haven't taken it to her because she'll be like, well, what do you want to change it to? And I'll be like, I don't ask me that. Just make it right. Just make it do what I need
Uh-huh.
it
Yeah.
to do.
So, uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it seems like like having a place on your website that's updated, like knowing what to put there in a way that like people are more likely to buy.
Right.
Sounds
And
like is
and
what
to
you're
really
looking
help
for. Is
them
that
be
what I'm
able to
hearing?
look and understand, kind of like we were talking about with the buying the puppies, of not saying in a bad way, if
Mm-hmm.
these aren't your interests, don't call me. It's a waste of both of our time. But if what
Mm,
you are looking for is
mm-hmm.
this rare person who will care for your dog the way you would if you had this expertise, then
Mm,
then call me, because you are the person I want to be working with. Or the
mm,
person who recognizes the value of the early puppy socialization and isn't just doing it because somebody told you to do it. It's necessary, and you want
mm-hmm.
somebody who's not gonna F it up, not gonna set your puppy back because it was
Mm-hmm.
done wrong, that kind of thing. Or your geriatric dog that, if they handle it the wrong way, could injure him or her. And then that's obviously
Mm-hmm.
that bills, but it's also just a harder life for your older dog. That's your heart dog that you would give everything for if you just knew how to do it yourself, but you don't. So you need to trust somebody else, and your heart is in your
Mm-hmm.
throat every time you give your dog to somebody else, whether they're going to take the kind of care of it that you would. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So it feels, yeah, that to me sounds like what you should be communicating is the level of care that you bring to the table versus somebody, you know, in, on some level you kind of hope that all the people who, you know, trim your dog and it's like they like animals, you know,
Sure.
but it might just be a job for them.
It
And they
For
might not
some of
have the
them, it's just the
experience.
job to them and the experience and the range of experience, because I have the training
Hmm.
experience, so I know how to teach a dog to do things correctly. I've got the veterinary
Hmm.
experience, so I know a lot of things to look out for. I can identify a lot of problems. I've
Mm.
saved dogs' lives because of identifying something and saying to the owner, go have this checked out by the vet right now.
Oh, wow.
I probably half a dozen dogs in my career, the owner has come back to me and said, my vet said you saved my dog's life by identifying
Mm.
this when you did, because I would never have seen it.
Wow.
And those are just the ones who told me that.
Mm.
And then just the grooming experience, the show grooming experience, the show handling experience. That's a lot of working under pressure and still maintaining the care of the dog, even though you're under a lot of time pressure. So you got to learn how to separate your own emotional state and your
Hmm.
own personal pressure from putting that pressure on the dog, because the dog doesn't give a shit. It's not his problem. It's not the dog's problem that you're on a time. You're like, oh my God, I have how much time to do what? That's not the
Hmm.
dog's problem. So you have to be able to separate yourself from that,
Yeah.
to be present, to give them the care that they deserve, the
Hmm.
way they are entitled to have it.
Hmm. Mm.
And a lot of that's experience, the experience in the wide range of areas of expertise, of yeah, and keeping the dog's mental state as positive as it's possible to do within the
Hmm.
constraints of its willingness or not willingness to be there to have this done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what makes me special as a groomer.
Mm. Yeah. That's really I think that's really important. And I don't know that I would think of that if I was looking for somebody that cut my dog's hair. But then when you say that, especially if I have a show dog, if I have a you know if I've just gotten a puppy, and it's like, okay, I need to start getting it trimmed regularly, and like I want somebody to do it right. You know, what you're doing is helping me understand beyond just getting a professional haircut. It's like there's reasons why you want to be selective about who touches your animal, who is doing that process.
Yeah. Who's
And
going to shape your dog's mentality about that experience?
oh, and that may be something that's like if you want your dog to if you want the best in class dog, like if you want your dog to compete, even if it's just the bare minimum, so then you can keep your dog as a pet, at least up until the point where they go to the show. Like you have to have somebody who is keeping that animal safe and preparing them. Because otherwise, if they have a bad experience around other people, that might disqualify them from being able to learn and trust the people that are going to be involved until they go to the show. That, you know, in that process, like that's formative for the dog. So you're doing more than just cutting. You're preserving the integrity of that dog being able to finish. So I think
That's absolutely true.
that's the value is like if you want if you want to be able to have a dog that is the best in the world, even if it just as a pet, in order for you to do that, to get a good quality dog from a breeder, you're going to have to show your dog. You're going to need to get it certified. You're going to need to have it finished. In order for you to have the dog finish, you need to make sure that you're not just letting anybody touch the dog. It's being trained, even in things like as it's getting its haircut. You need people that will keep it safe, that will teach it the correct behavior, and that's what you're buying. You get me to
Yep.
do your dog.
Yeah. And we'll curate the experience for them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So from that standpoint, then it's like you can't really argue with whatever you're going to charge because it's a different kind of service you're providing. You're not just cutting their hair off and making it look fluffy. You're actually um, maintaining the value and the I
Yeah,
mean,
the
it's like
investment.
taking it's like taking an Olympic athlete, a child who's like, okay, this gymnast is going to be somebody who's going to go to the Olympics. So you're not going to let it hang out. You're not going to let your kid hang out with friends that are like constantly, riding around on dirt bikes without adult supervision and doing stuff that's going to injure your kid. Like you're going to have you're going to be real careful about what that kid does for fun or in other contexts besides training and competing because those things can have an effect on that kid being able to go to the Olympics. And
Right.
so if that's really their dream, if they want to really compete at that level, they're going to need to learn. Mom and dad are going to have to set some boundaries and say, if that's what you want, you're going to have to say no to some things until you finish this process. You're just doing one thing right now. And if you're somebody who's agreed to have a pick of a litter, and you've said, well, we'll show the dog in exchange for me making sure that this breed and this line has the best shot at being preserved. Like in order to go to those shows and in order for that dog to behave itself, you need to have expert care, including your grooming. That's a requirement. And so, yeah, I think if you walk people down that journey and you have some, even just just what I shared with you. If you tell that to new people, they'll understand. You'll be able to help them understand. Oh, that's why I will come to you. Oh, so then now they're thinking not that's not that's not worth it. $200 to get a haircut. They're thinking, oh, I understand why you charge that now. So now my question is not haggling you on the price. It's do I want a dog at that level where that's the investment I need to pay every time? And that's worth it to me? Or do I need to think about, well, maybe I just need like to go get a lab mutt and like, take it to the pet store. I don't know. Like what is it that you're actually asking for? And if you're asking for a world-class dog, I'm the person that you should be coming to, and I'll make sure that that's what you get access to. That's what we maintain, and then that's the level that your dog is going to compete at.
Yeah. Yeah. I, so many things I wish I had been able to say in the past, but yes,
Well, now
all
you can say them.
now I can. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
because that would help me. That would really help me get back to why I started doing it. It's just as I raised to a higher and higher level, but my clientele didn't come along with me. It
Mhm.
just got less rewarding.
Yeah.
It just got less
Yeah, and
rewarding.
I think if you um I think if you start talking a lot about like this is why I'm doing this. This is what's important to me. Is like supporting families who really love their dogs. And sometimes your dog has just as important a purpose as your life's purpose. And that may just be being around your family and loving your family really, really well. And that's perfect. That's the kind of people I want to hang around. But if you're talking about the things that you do from an expertise level, from an authority level, then when people come and ask you, hey, can you fit me in here? Can I ask you for this? Like you can say, I can, and this is what it costs. Is that something you're willing to do? They understand the value of what you're asking, and then it's not like a surprise to them.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So what I mean, in terms of, I mean, hopefully that's helpful for you, and just in terms of organizing like how you would communicate, even something like your grooming. But like if you had something that you could like show people that um, that lines that up for somebody. I don't know what it is. Like even when we create stuff, it's like, oh, there's something else besides you telling me this, so now I believe it. Even if it's like, I also made this piece of paper that says this, but like it's something other than coming out of my mouth.
Right.
But I guess it's just the unspoken like, oh, you went to the effort of like lining the stuff up and putting it together. Like it must be important.
Hmm.
So. I don't know. What would that be something useful for you to have? Is that
Yes.
something you would like help with?
Yes. Unequivocally, that would be useful. And I would love to have something like that to
Hmm.
either to be something to hand out to people, to post to update my website,
Mm-hmm.
some graphics or some text or just whatever, to just be able to,
Yeah.
okay, Yvonne, put this on the website.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, yeah, that would definitely be valuable.
Okay. Cool. Um, so I've not done this for other people before. So I really don't know how long it's gonna take me to put something like this together. But you and I have done enough sessions. I feel like I can go back over what we've done. I can pull all the stuff that I need in order to organize that for you, and then give you. I mean, I'm assuming because what I showed you, that's something that you have in your mind. Like if I put together a document that you can use as like, here's a free resource that you can download that like answers your questions about like why me, why grooming, like what's important about this thing. If you had essentially like a lead magnet or that demonstrates the authority and walks them through that mentality of why you versus anybody else.
Right.
And for something like that, if it was like, I mean, I don't know. I guess since I've not done this before, I should be careful when I promise to get it to you. But let's say if I put that together over the next couple of weeks, would that be good?
Yeah, that's ample time frame. That's way faster than I would get it done. Because I've known it needs to be done for
Mm-hmm.
months,
Mm-hmm.
over a year. But I just groom the dogs instead of, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a couple of weeks to me is as good as tomorrow. You
Mm,
could even say a month and I'd still be like, that's fantastic.
mhm. Cool. So how does if I say like $300, if I say I'll put together kind of the what I think I would want to see as a buyer and like design it from a marketing standpoint, and then you and I get on a call and walk through it just so that you can kind of sign off on it. Say, oh, this is what I've been looking for. So we would schedule an official like review session just to make sure that it does what you need it to do. And if you need to be like, okay, like, can you change this and this because what I'm doing in my course or what I'm saying in my Facebook group, I just want it to match what I'm doing. Like, does that feel like it does what you need it to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. Does it so then my question or my wondering is on the specific piece about the the puppies, the dog, what I
Hmm.
originally brought this in for. Um,
Mhm.
that's separate from what you're talking about, but could that also be a piece that's included?
So, yeah, so let me clarify and see if I understand what you're asking. So, what I'm thinking in my head in terms of what we demonstrate is, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Is it would be, so here's what we want to make sure that they come away with understanding. It's like if you're going to hire me to groom your animal, I specialize in three areas, and this is not a haircut. You're buying my expertise and the care that your animal is going to get. So you have a puppy who you want to make sure is socialized properly. So if you have a dog that you're thinking may go to a show, you need to maintain that animal is cared for and behaves itself and is taught by somebody who knows the behavior that it needs to line up to.
Mhm.
If you have an older dog that is, you're starting to have less options to take your dog, and get it groomed, and you want this dog to be really well loved. Like,
Safe.
I have a heart for taking care of these animals. Like, this is not just a job for me. The reason I'm in this business is because these animals are so special to me. And so, like, I love getting to help families who have older dogs who are well loved, and so that's something I can help people with if your dog has arthritis, if they're a little bit sensitive, and the groomers are starting to say, hey, we can't service your dog anymore. It's just not safe. I can make it safe, and I have lots and lots of experience doing that, working with vets and helping, helping make sure that that level of care, and then professional dogs that you take to a show. If this is going to make or break where you place in the show, it's like you got a show coming up and you want it just exactly right. A haircut is going to be the difference between like just those few points, and I mean,
Yeah,
they can be well behaved, they can have all the credibility, plenty of rehearsal, but like you also need them to look the part.
right.
And so,
So
so
I
if
would
you have
say
a,
that's probably professionally prepared schnauzers.
mm-hmm. So yeah, professionally prepared, profession. All right, and that's going to be a premium because, oops, I mean, you're offering them their best shot at winning.
Right.
This is not just a standard haircut.
Right. And that's
So,
why I specialize, that's why I specify schnauzers,
mhm,
because I'm qualified
yes.
to do that for
Hmm.
standard and giant schnauzers. I'm not
Hmm.
qualified to claim that in other show breeds.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's like this is where I'm going to charge the most money. If you have a puppy or an older, here's my rates, and this is why I charge this because all these reasons that we talked about.
Right.
Um, but that's kind of what I was thinking of putting together in terms of like the grooming lead
Mhm.
magnet. Now, when you say puppies, were you talking about including that in the hair cutting, or were you talking about um, letting people know the value of your puppies from your kennel?
That.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's something that we could work on putting
'Cause
together.
that's a separate thing, but that's the piece, that's the deliverable I have to give to my partner.
Mm, gotcha.
So he can
So,
start creating the website to
mhm,
start getting getting me the visibility
mhm,
to start selling the high-end puppies, to start
mhm.
giving high-end business to them also.
Okay, so let me see if I'm understanding. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet. What we worked on today was like an authority bio,
Mhm,
and that is in the context of here is who you're dealing with when you're looking for a standard Schnauzer puppy. Is
mhm.
is that what that is? And so what you're asking is, could you create like a bio or a handout that is, I'm a professional Schnauzer breeder, and here is my credibility. If you're looking for a best in class puppy, here's
Mhm.
what I require, and here's why I'm the best. If you're looking for a standard Schnauzer, if you're considering buying from one of my litters, you have to kind of be on the same level with me if we're going to have that conversation. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And even if it's just like a first draft of it, and then I look at it
Mhm,
and I go, okay, well, we can change here's some specific terminology or whatever. But to
mhm.
just basically get me the rough draft to go from,
Yeah. Mhm.
that would be
Okay.
really helpful.
So and that would be, what form would you need that in? Just typed out? Is that something you would uh like a document or like a PDF put together? Or is that
Probably
like
just
if I just
type.
had the information in terms of like the stuff that we talked about today?
I think I think for the show puppies, for the breeding, for the kennel,
Mm-hmm.
just written out is fine because that's what
Mm-hmm.
I need to give him. And then he's going to design with
Mm-hmm.
his team what it will look like.
I gotcha.
It's the
Okay.
He needs the hard copy for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm providing him hard copy and then some pictures and some videos and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the piece for the grooming shop, this that you have there
Mm-hmm.
on the screen behind you,
Mm-hmm.
that would be something that if that could be put together in a form that I could plug and play, either just hand it out or
Yeah.
give to my website lady and go, here,
Mm-hmm.
this is the new text that I want.
Mm-hmm.
This is, can you just
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
go ahead and put this on the website? If
Okay.
that, if
Yeah.
that,
So if I'm understanding right, the priority is putting together the bio for the puppy, for the website, having that as soon as possible. So maybe well, let's put that on the front burner, as let's get that together and see if it does what you need it to do.
right,
You may fill in some details of like, okay, here's all the awards or the shows I've been at,
right.
and then putting together like a document or a lead magnet that demonstrates, here's what you're really getting when you hire me to do your dog's.
Yeah. Yeah. Then that covers both ends of or both sides of what I've traditionally been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm making incremental but adequate progress in the area of the coaching and the offer and growing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with where I'm with the speed I'm moving at that.
Mm-hmm.
It's some of these other areas that I'm like, right now this is my bread and butter, but it's lagging, you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
makes me realize that, you know, in spite of feeling like I'm not making any progress in a lot of things, I'm actually making a lot of progress in a lot of things.
Mm. Yeah, it's it's so funny. I identify with that a lot. I feel like um my partner and I were talking about, man, we've been at this for a while. Feels like all the stuff we want to do and that we see that we have to do, it's like feels like it just never ends. But then we were kind of talking about like just reviewing some of the things that we've done and like kind of our own list of accomplishments and things that we've projects that we've been involved with and like launches that we've done and just yeah, sometimes it's easy to forget where you've been. You just need somebody to like ask you like, hey, tell me about you, and you hear yourself say all these things. You're like, oh wow, like you know, I'm measuring all of my whole life and my value and success based on where I'm at right now and where I versus where I want to be, instead of, oh, but remember all this other stuff that I've done that nobody else in the world has done. It's it's funny how we kind of forget that. We sort of discount it, and it takes other people telling it us, you're amazing. You're somebody who's one of a kind. And that's a big part of the reason I just love community and relationships with other people is because it keeps you grounded, helps you remember like I'm not a failure, I'm not a loss. Like I provide a lot of beautiful things to this world. Even though I may not feel like, you know, I'm making $1 million or, or like everybody's asking for my autograph. It's like I'm making this world a better place.
But you can tell when you have improved things for other people, or sometimes you'll know you had an interaction with somebody and then you see them have an interaction with somebody and you can connect the dots there and go, so I didn't just help that person, I also helped that person because this person helped that person, but this person could only help that person because I helped that person.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and when you start to see that network happen in the kind of like the waterfall effect that we have on people sometimes, like that's really humbling.
Yes. I find that humbling is a good word for that. I find that really exciting and really like, oh, so a lot of the value I bring to the world, I'll never actually see. That's okay. Because I know it's
Yeah.
there. Because I've seen it enough times that now I can just know that that's happening. That I'm having an interaction with somebody that's going to make them have an interaction with somebody. And any one of those could change somebody else's life for the better. And I didn't even directly do that. Yeah. That's what gives me some peace for my feeling like I'm doing it slow.
Oh man. Well, Leslie, let me just take a look at my calendar real quick and let me see if we can set something up real quick
Yeah.
in the near future. Um, mm, all right. Do Fridays tend to be the best days for you?
Fridays and Mondays are
Fridays and
because
Mondays.
those are the days I work from home, unless I'm at a
Okay.
dog show. Yeah.
So if we set something up for the 26th as sort of like the official call, does that work?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. And then the same time around 9 a.m. or maybe 9:30?
Yeah. Yeah. You're an hour behind me, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That works fine. I have another call on that day to get on at 2:00 Eastern, but so anytime before that. So, that 9:30 your time, 10:30 my time, That'd be great.
Okay, cool. So I'll just put a review session on here. So what I'll do is with Leslie. So what I'll do is I'll create an official like calendar invite that you can book for that time. I've put it in my calendar already, but what I'll do is I'm gonna write up the bio that we talked about, and then I'll send that to you kind of as a review, and then I'll send you the calendar appointment so you can kind of actually book that time and pay for the content stuff that we're gonna create.
Mhm.
And then we'll meet in a couple weeks. You take a look at it and just say, hey, this looks great. Thanks, I'm happy with this. Or if you have any tweaks, we can make some quick adjustments there on the call, and then
Okay.
send you that resource. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds really, really good. I feel like yeah,
Hmm.
making,
Well, I really appreciate you just like trusting me and being willing to say like where you're at, because I feel like what you described is like feeling like where you want to be and feeling like you're down here at kind of first grade level. If this will help you feel like you're jumping, ahead, and you can actually move forward faster and get more things done without having to figure out how do I learn all these things, how do I do it myself, like, and what a privilege to be able to help you do that leapfrog.
yeah. Yeah, well, e- absolutely. And when I first heard about crowd scale, I kind of got pulled in from the tail end. It was a little like grabbing the tail of the tiger. I was really
Hmm.
almost not even
Mhm.
almost. There was some divine inspiration there that was saying, go with them. Oh,
Mm.
I'm go catch that bus. Do not miss
Uh-huh.
that bus. Oh, okay.
Mm.
I'll catch the bus, even though I wasn't time
Mhm.
wise ready to put the time in then. But
Mhm.
like, don't let that train leave the station without you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know why, other just I had such a good feeling about it. I've been following
Mhm.
Jim for a while and just like he's on to
Oh
some
man,
stuff. He's on to some stuff.
Jim is one of those guys that like I feel like what I get to do for people is like I kind of wish he would do what he does for me, because like the way that he speaks, I don't know, at least I feel like I'm his target market. He talks very much to artists, people who are heart-centered, people who are there to make an impact first, as well as make good money from it. But like he talks so much about connection and inspiration, and like, oh man, he just speaks my language.
Right.
So I feel like he's one of those people that I would like to work with in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. That's why I follow him. And yeah, and then so whatever the changes, have been going on with crowd scale, I'm fine because I'm like,
Hmm.
no, I'm in it for the long haul. I didn't
Hmm.
I'm first grader on the bus. It's fine. But
Well, I'm so glad that I've been able to help
figure
you on your
everybody
journey.
who's involved. So about trusting you. Well, energetically from some early stuff you posted, I just was like, I like him.
Mm.
He's one of the young people that I'm really interested in because I also this could go into a whole nother tangent, but I'll keep it quick. But I have so much respect for the young people that are coming up because it's your world. And the sooner you
Mm.
can inherit it from those of us who think it still works the way it did 30 years ago, the better off we'll all be.
Mm.
Okay? So that's where I come from with you young people is you need to dislodge us older people, not all of
Mhm.
us cuz some of us are on your side, but help everyone realize how irrelevant in
Mhm.
terms of policy decisions older people really are. And
Mhm.
maybe be nice to us about it so that we can understand it instead of just fight you back. But
Oh yeah.
honestly, the older people can't see the changes that are happening, don't want to see the changes that are happening, and ultimately it won't affect them nearly as much as it will you and your kids.
Mhm.
So whatever I can do to help you guys, Start
Mm,
controlling the world sooner, the better. That's how I feel about it.
that's so meaningful. Thank you for sharing that, Leslie. It really touched me. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes it's one of those things like, you know, you never know what effect you have on the world. And it's in interactions like this where somebody says, "Hey, here's how you've you know, changed my view or, you know, affected the way that I experience things." So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I have a great appreciation for all the young people who are willing to be seen and step forward and just, yeah, talk about their vision,
Mm,
because that's the future.
mm,
That's, you guys know more about the world that you're going to live in than anyone else does. And don't ever let
mm,
anybody older try to convince you otherwise.
mm. Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Leslie, I hope this has been, I know we went over, but I hope it's been valuable for you. Um,
Absolutely. I feel good about it. I feel good about what's to come, and yay, taking action,
mm,
actionable steps. Yay. Good. Thank
great.
you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. You have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. You too. I'll
All
talk to
right.
you. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. All right.
Okay.
Take care.